Go far and beyond. Did the rail saw you came up the other day? Did the rail willing to please you in any way? I said you've been watching me. I know you've been stalking me. I know you like chocolate. Kiss me from the head down to my feet. Baby, yeah, glory on me, baby. I know you want it to real. I know you want it to real, baby. Smoke, I know you want it to real. I know you're the only one. They call you the only one. You said I'm the only one that can make you come. You said I can do it, baby. You said we can do it safely. You said you want me to grind and from behind. You said grown man won't know. 24/7 on the go. You said did the rail running deep in that hole. I'm like, baby, goddamn, I'm on it right now. I'm like, baby, let's get it. Let's do it like that. I know you want it to real. I know you want it to real, baby. I know you want it to real. They come for the creepy people. She says she wanna know the sequel. To let her tongue go low, real slow. She said she likes to do it, tryna dick full of spit. Look to the rail, no hands, let the moth expand. She got my shit hard and ready. Look the way she like to go steady. Did the rail about to go and let it flow. You wanna let time waste right now. Wanna give you that freaky ass sound. Yeah. Come on. Proton, why the fuck you hating on the nigga? Let the good guys know what the hell's going on.
2020 was a bitch.
Haters everywhere.
All I wanna do is this. Motherfucker don't know. D-Darrell in this bitch. Niggas like to go low, but they can't get with this. Nigga trying to make money, starting off real hard. Nigga couldn't even go. Wanna know what's the show? D-Darrell on the mic, YouTube streets in the night, doing all that he could. Nigga gon' keep it hood, but the haters won't top me. Motherfuckers won't block me. Assholes gon' flag me. Motherfuckers can't stop me. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas better sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. D-Darrell getting lit, yo. D-Darrell like FICO. D-Darrell score higher than a 7-800. That's not a typo. D-Darrell on horizon. Channel growth is higher. Troller trying to play me. They a motherfucking liar. AFW on a corner. Can't depend on honor. She recruit another set. Now she is a wreck. Lame niggas in another space. Seeing dollar signs in this place. Good guys gon' protect the place. Trying to keep the fucking haters away. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas better sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas wanna sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass niggas everywhere. Jealous niggas better sit and stare. D-Darrell better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Welcome, everybody. This is D-Darrell with the Conscious Clientele. Happy to be here once again, guys. And I know I have a lot to talk about. I got to talk about some things that I didn't want to talk about. But because we got hating ass niggas everywhere, jealous niggas want to sit and stare, D-Darrell better be aware. Hating ass niggas better be aware. I mean, damn, man. As I talked to you all a few days ago, man, I told y'all what my plan was. I told y'all what has been going on with me professionally. I kind of highlighted what's been up, and I'm going to say this, man. My plan of what I have to do is not going to change for this space. It's not going to change. And I'm not going to invest time clearing up shit that people don't understand or they confused about. I got shit to do. I have federal contracts to obtain. I got state contracts to maintain. I got other contractual issues going on. I got staff. I got businesses. I got shit to do. I have shit to do. Took my break, went to New Orleans to clear my head up. Guys, I want to tell you, I had a wonderful time in New Orleans over the weekend. Got back yesterday evening. So I basically, and to be honest with you, I'm going to let you know that Saturday night, I was watching The Sector. Okay? Friday night, I watched a little bit of The Sector. Saturday night, for sure, I watched some of The Sector. From about, I would say around 10:30 to 12. Sunday, I decide, after getting home around 5-ish, about 5:30-ish, got home, chilled out, had a couple of cocktails, relaxing. My daughters came to come visit. After dealing with that, I said, well, hell, let me go online and see what's popping. Let me go online and see what's popping. Okay? Let me see what's popping on in the sector right now. I got so much, man. I want to let you all know this, man. This YouTube shit, I got to the point now is that I can't be following this shit every day. I just want to let y'all know this. And I don't have to. I'm the Godfather. The Godfather don't have to be around every goddamn day following. You know why? Because if I don't follow it, there are people who are loyal to the Godfather. They're going to give me my report. You see, they got Negroes like Recognized Game and G Gates and others who wonder why I am the Godfather.
I'm the Godfather because the people made me the Godfather. I'm the Godfather because I put in the work when nobody else put in the work. I took on a whole crew of fanatical ass people that don't have a life when nobody else dared to do it. I invited these people on my platform to sort out our differences and to debate intellectually. And you know what happened? Those same people were disrespectful to me on my platform. See, people want to understand why D. Durrell has gotten a lot more harder and more intense in his language, in his more confrontational, because that was a time when I allowed people to come on my panel and talk a whole bunch of shit, and I maintained face. Now, through that, some of the times I did come back at them, but I tried. I never wanted a sector where people telling other people, oh, he on somebody else's sector. Man, what he doing over there? Oh, so-and-so on that sector. What he doing over there? Now he leaving the good guys. People tattletelling and shit like pussy-ass Proton. Yes, I said it. I'm going to repeat it. Like pussy-ass Proton. Okay? And my whole thing is that I'm not going to get into this thing where I feel like I can't be in certain places because I can go where the hell I want to go. Okay? Because I don't babysit people. I don't babysit anybody. And I won't babysit anybody. I'm not going to tell people where to go, who they should see and who they not. Okay? I've been critical of certain people who've been in certain spots. They know who they are, and they chose to stay where they was at. Okay? Did I cry about it? No, hell I didn't. They said they're going to be friends with whoever they're going to be friends with, whether I like the person or not. Okay, cool. That's what you choose to do. Okay? That's what you chose to do. Okay? Certain people want to go certain spaces. I said my piece. I respect your position. You're a grown ass man. You go where you want to go. All right? Isn't that fair? So, with that being said, the Godfather is going to swing wherever he want to swing. And you know what? Nobody can do a goddamn thing about it.
Can you all hear me? Okay, I'm back. Okay. Had a little issue going on. So I'm saying this to say that people have the right, if they want to talk with certain people and interact with certain people, they have the right to do so. Okay? Now, do we have the right to question that? Yes, we can. But if I see TC, I see Ghost, if I see Flacco in spaces, I don't have the right to tell them nothing. They're gonna go where they want to go. They're gonna go where they want to go. Okay? And I'm gonna go where I want to go. Now, in my situation, all that I was doing was browsing around Smokegod's channel. Simple as that. All I did was browse around just to see what he was talking about. And sure enough, the timing was impeccable. Because in that timing, I saw Smoke showing and giving everybody information on how they doxed me and why they doxed me. When I first saw it, I was like, what the hell? What the hell is this? That's the first thing that came to mind. That was exactly the first thing that came to mind. And I'm like, all I had was a discussion with Smoke. It was not an adversarial discussion. It was just a man-to-man discussion between two grown-ass men, two grown-ass married men who just so happen to be content creators. Two grown-ass men that just so happen to be content creators who just wanted to discuss why certain things happen. The information was valuable to me as I learned who doxed me, who put the information out. I learned that information from him. I didn't get that information from anybody else, but I received that information from Smokegod. He didn't have to tell me that. He didn't have to tell me that. He chose to tell me. He chose to. And then he told me about another person who doing some trifling shit. Who's not even a content creator, but they're in chats all the time. So why would I interact with him about those things? Why not? Why not interact with him and have a discussion? We talked about a lot of things. We cleared up a lot of things. And yes, as I was sitting there, relaxing and chilling, Poetic Flocka showed up. Poetic Flocka talked about, Godfather, why are you on this brother channel? I'm like, Flacco, brother, we asked you to cancel somebody, you didn't even cancel. But even though that was stated, I was on the channel to have a discussion. I'm not on the channel to be with the smoke thugs, the thug god, the smoke god sector, or the smoke. I will not be a ongoing participant on his channel. I never talked to him about that. But that doesn't mean I can't interact with the brother if I feel that the situation presented an advantage for me or for him or for us as a sector. There were things that I got out of talking to him. Therefore, I felt that it was incumbent upon me to continue that discussion. I only plan to be on there, actually, to be honest with you, for about 20, 30 minutes. It turned to damn near 2 hours. That's fine. Now, Flacco said, and I don't know if it's true or not, that the brother has contacted the cops on him. The brother contacted the cops on Ghost and some other people. The brother claimed that he didn't do it. Okay, he said, look, man, I ain't call the police on nobody. All right? I'm going to say, if the brother contacted the police, show me the proof. Because right now, I'm starting to feel like this side of the sector is starting to sound like the damn anti-fraud, starting to act like Andrew Stewart, dictating who can go, which where, and so forth. Now, I have been a person in the past that had some issues with certain people going to certain places, and then it became a negative towards the sector. I've had issues with that. I've had issues with people going, particularly, it wasn't really the content creators. It was really some of our subscribers, our people that are subs and our mods. There are several mods that I had issues. I've even blocked a mod, a long-time mod that was with me for almost 3 years because of things that he did and said on another person's platform. Okay? I don't find it a problem to just chop. Me and Smoke, this whole thing was with Smoke and Flock. I'm not getting in the middle of it. At this point, for me, any internal beefs or any external beefs with the good guys against anybody, I'm not getting in the middle. Now, I'm going to support my brothers. I'm going to take up for them. I'm going to go to bat for them. But I'm not getting in the middle of a beef just because you're beefy. So, like Flacco and Shakim Ra, I love both of my brothers, but I'm not getting in the middle of their beef. I'm a grown-ass man, and I don't have time to get into petty beefs between these younger guys. I don't have time for that. Now, there was a time 3-4 months ago, I probably would have did it. But D. Durrell has recalibrated his priorities. Okay? And I have to have things that are going on, business-wise, financial-wise, and otherwise, that I am not going to be parading around the sector every day, seeing what the hell is going on. I'm not. Because I don't have to. I'm the Godfather. The information is going to come to me anyway. The information will leak to me anyway. I don't have to go. I'm not going to be staying up at night till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to be getting up early in the morning. I can't do that, and I won't do that anymore. Okay? Not doing that anymore. I will come on YouTube when I have time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of time. I've done probably, three or four live streams in the last 2 weeks. That's unheard of for me. But that's the reality. I've been doing videos on my D-Derail Life Solutions, which you all should be. I don't like this. For everybody that's subbing to me and watching me right now, why are you not watching D-Derail Life Solutions? Why are you not leaving comments in D-Derail Life Solutions? It's a better channel. It has information that you can actually use in real life. It talks about mental health. It talks about business. It talks about family. It talks about any type of financial situations with PPP loans and so forth. It talks about supporting Black businesses. It's way more productive. It's a cleaner channel. But you know what? The sector is not supporting D-Derail Life Solutions. That's facts. The sector wants me to talk about Umar Johnson all goddamn day. The sector wants me to talk about anti-Afro Spengali and Lennon Honor and Gerald punk-ass Reverend Palmer. It wants me to go back and forth with Binary. It wants me to go and beef with Smoke. My content will not be relegated to that anymore. Will there be times I will talk about those things? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. And rightfully so, because this is the sector that I am in. This is my sector. Love me or hate me. This sector is where I have accumulated a great deal of support on this channel. But that's not the totality of who I am. It's not. It's not. Okay? And that's just the fact. So the link to D-Derail Life Solutions is in the chat. You can check it out. I feel that the amount of support that I have on D-Derail the Rebirth should be the exact amount or more support on D-Derail Life Solutions. Because this channel here, D-Derail the Rebirth, is not D-Derail the Rebirth. And I'm gonna repeat this again. D-Derail the Rebirth is on life support. I'm gonna let you all know this right now. I don't plan to be doing D-Derail Life Solutions as often, and I'm not going to be doing D-Derail Life Solution for a long period of time. I'm giving myself 6 months to a year, and I'm going to pull the plug on D-Derail Life Solutions, and I'm going to go full-fledged with D-Derail. I'm going to go full-fledged with D-Derail Life Solutions, and I'm going to pull the plug on D-Derail the Rebirth. It has served its purpose. Appreciate that double expose, y'all. Appreciate that. Happy holiday 2010. I need people to subscribe to that channel because since everybody wanted to criticize my unprofessionalism, that channel exemplifies D-Derail as a therapist and professional. This is a fuck channel. D-Derail the Rebirth is a fuck around channel where I can act and do what the hell I want and say with all the crazy shit I want to say with no recourse. Appreciate that, Scarlett. Appreciate that, Kate. That's the channel I want y'all to support. That's the channel where I can actually do the best work for the community. So people are wondering, well, damn, D. Darrell, you coming at us like this today? Are you still a good guy? Yes, the hell I am still a good guy. Nothing that I stated. I never repudiated anything that the good guys have done. None of us are perfect, including myself. I've been questioned for things, and rightfully so. Such as I've been questioned about the thing with Catherine Brown. Catherine Brown should have been unmodded months ago, but I couldn't do it because of YouTube. I can't even use my YouTube studio because it was connected to D. Darrell, the first channel I had. Double Exposed Y'all says, am I going to do Manosphere content on Life Solutions channel? Yes, I will. Very limited. Now, my Manosphere content for the next 6 months or to a year will be on this channel, on the Rebirth, as far as me going raw. Now, on D. Darrell Life Solutions, when I do Manosphere content, that Manosphere content will be from a professional standpoint. It will be non-confrontational. It will be straight to the point. It will be theoretical, and it will be counseling or mental health related. I have a lot of content right now that I'm working on. That's content that I need to be doing right now as we speak. Matter of fact, until I got the text message and emails that I received today and yesterday, I was not going to go live today. I did not plan on going live today. What I was planning on doing was doing about 5 to 7 videos to upload on D. Darrell Life Solutions. And I appreciate the support that I'm hearing. Seth Marie saying, good luck with it. It's needed. And I'm happy that some of you all have went about and subscribed. I'm going to be honest with you. I was expecting the same since my channel was deleted about 9 months ago, 10 months ago. I was expecting that you all were going to subscribe to both channels. And that didn't happen. That did not happen. And that was very discouraging. Because when I started the D. Darrell, when I changed the name, the channel, the original name was DDS Sounds. It was a music channel. The music channel had 950 subscribers. Somewhere around 900 subscribers. Now we're at over 1,500 subscribers. Okay? So I had well over 600 plus subscribers that have came that have subscribed to this channel. Then I had another 200 and plus that went to the Life Solutions. Other sectors know me by D. Darrell Life Solutions, not the Rebirth, because I'm unable to use D. Darrell the Rebirth as a channel to go to other platforms and troll or do whatever I was doing. The Manosphere knows me. The pro-black sector in the Manosphere know me as Life Solutions. So I've been put in a situation where I have to look at long-term where I'm going. Okay? And what I'm not going to be doing is beefing with everybody every goddamn week. What I'm not going to be doing is beefing with people every week. I just want y'all to know that. Yeah, my camera. I'm not going to be beefing with people every goddamn week. Let me see if it's working. I'm not going to be yelling and cursing and shit at will. And I understand that double expose, y'all. I understand that. In this sector, Dr. Umar directs your attention. And I will talk about, matter of fact, guys, I will be doing content this weekend. Umar will be in Houston on Saturday. I'm going to do an all-day event, live stream of me going to that event. I'm going to meet Dr. Umar if I can. And we will have a discussion. Now, the last time I met him, I didn't really know him like that, but I know he knows who I am. I plan to set up some shit with Umar when I see him. I will see Umar this weekend. Umar will be in Houston on Saturday. And I will try, if I can, I don't give a damn I got to wait an hour to see him. I'm going to sit there and have a conversation with Umar Johnson. I will sit there and have a discussion about the school, the finances, the sector. I want an interview. I'll pay the $250. I don't give a damn. I want an interview with Dr. Umar. Don't think I'm not going to stop talking about Umar double exposed, y'all. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to ever stop talking about Umar. Okay? I will continue to talk about Umar. It will be only when I feel like the situations warrant talking about Umar. It will not be a day-to-day narrative of Umar did this today. Umar was on this live stream. Umar was on the Breakfast Club. Umar was on IG. Umar was at this church doing an interview. I'm not doing a day-to-day Umar. I'm not Lennon Honor. You're not going to get this Lennon Honor, the antithesis of Lennon Honor from me. I'm not doing that. But I will talk about Umar. I'm probably going to do maybe 5 to 8 videos a month on Umar Johnson or something related to Umar. All the Spengalis and whoever else. It all depends on the crazy ass shit that they do. Because the crazy shit that they do triggers me to have to report on it. That's just the facts. It's the shit that they do, the crazy shit that they do, that will determine whether or not I'm going to report on it. That's a good ass question. After all this time, do you really think he would talk to you? The answer is yes. I think he will talk to me. I think that it's long overdue talk. And I'm going to tell him, I say, brother, I reached out to you. I know you get tons of emails. I know you get tons of, but damn, I know you watch me. I know you know my show. It wasn't too hard for you to take out time to say, good work, D. Durrell. Hey, D. Durrell, let's link. I'm paying you for an interview. $250. Matter of fact, I should have done at least 5 or more Umar videos, 5 or more Umar interviews. I think I should have. For the work that I put in this sector, I should have had at least 5 or more Umar videos. Now, am I entitled to Umar videos? No, I'm not. And like I told people, Umar don't have to talk to me for me to support him. I don't have to personally. Matter of fact, I care less about Umar's personal life. I care less about him wanting to have multiple wives, the wifey resumes. I care less about the issues about him and his children, that's none of my business. Now, what I do care about is Umar's approach to mental health when it comes to black children. What I do want to know, as far as Umar bridging, as far as implementing his own expertise in education and mental health into the school, and how he's going to utilize that long term. I am interested in knowing how Umar will function as a mental health professional and an educational professional. I'm very interested. That's what I want to know from Umar Johnson. What I want to know from Umar, as far as the misdiagnosis of kids with ADHD, the misdiagnosis of kids with Asperger's and autism, the implementation of drugs, of these psychoactive drugs, and the long-term effects, as far as what he sees as a difference as the way they function in their household or primary environment versus their school environment. What's the correlation between kids being diagnosed with these mental illnesses and being in prison? These are the topics that I would like to converse with Umar Johnson about. Not, is the IRS, did you pay the money back to the IRS? Did you get the HVAC? All that dumbass shit. Did you build Ifa Tunde Universe? Ifa Tunde Avenue and all this other shit and stuff like that, the crazy shit that they doing in this sector. And this, I'm gonna crush the cookies and all that other dumb shit. I don't want to talk about that. Double Exposed Y'all said, can you split screen with other landscapers? Landscaping. Three Faces of Deidre is creeping me out. You started at me. Y'all tripping. Now, when I did this setup the last time, nobody said nothing. Now today, everybody got an issue with the goddamn screen. All right, let me. So I'm gonna have to do something different. Y'all tripping tonight on that, but I'll listen to what y'all have to say. So let me go ahead and play with that. So these are the things that I will question Umar on. I would talk to Umar about living as a mental health professional, how the black community responds and respects black mental health professionals, his interaction with families as a black male mental health professional like myself, the resistance that one may receive because you are a black mental health professional. There's a lot of things that I could talk about Umar about that will go further than the diluted perspectives that we see from these content creators in the sector. Period. That is period. That makes me say I still want to see you. Okay, baby. I got it. I've already done that, Black Abe. I'm no longer. I've emailed Umar and I have text messaged him before. I'm not in the place of constantly trying to contact people. That's bad business. Now there are other people that I know that talk to Umar all the time. I've known C-Rock to have talked to Umar multiple times. I've known other people that have contacted me that have been subscribers that have talked to Umar. I have never talked to Umar. I'm going to ask him the pertinent questions. I'm going to ask him the intelligent questions. I'm going to ask him the questions that are above the pay grade of most people, because they're so caught up in all of this entertainment BS in the sector. The Spangalis, the anti-Afro, the anti-fraud warriors have repudiated this man's name for over 5-6 years. They've said so many disparaging things about this man. They've slandered this man. And you know what? No arrests. His status is intact. His licenses and certifications are there. You can't take away his doctoral degree. You can't take away his master's degree. You can't take away his bachelor's degrees. Red Pill Finance said he too bougie to text back. Look, man, I'm first of all, y'all think I'm chopped liver? Y'all better check the goddamn resume. My resume is comparable to anybody on YouTube. My accomplishments exceed the top 2%. So D. Durrell is not going to run behind anybody. I've probably treated just as many kids with ADHD as Umar Johnson has. I've probably treated just as many kids that have oppositional defiance disorder, that have conduct disorder, that have bipolar, major depression, that's comorbid to the ADHD and so forth. I've dealt with probably just as many issues with kids that are on Adderall and Ritalin and Concerta and all of these other new generation meds. I've been in this field since 1999. When I graduated from college, May 1999, I started working in this field a month after I graduated. In July of 99, I was working at a mental health hospital. I started repetitively working with kids with ADHD October of 99. Matter of fact, 90% of my caseload as a paraprofessional at the time were kids that were diagnosed with behavioral disorders and also mood disorders. So I know what the hell I'm talking about. I didn't begin counseling kids as a counseling professional due to the laws at the time, what is allowed under that particular umbrella I was operating on. I began counseling and providing behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-focused therapy to kids and adults since 2002, almost 19 years. So I know what the hell I'm talking about. What drew me to Umar is the fact that he was a black male in this field, because there are not a lot of black men in mental health. It was a black single mother, which makes up the majority of Umar supporters, that linked me and told me about Umar building a school. When I saw his YouTube videos and he focused a lot on the IEP plans and the fact that kids with ADHD being misdiagnosed by a diagnostician in the educational system, I've been there in IEP plans, in IEP meetings with clients. I've been there monitoring and observing a diagnostician implementing tests, objective testing to kids. I know what I'm talking about. Umar, to me, has not even taken advantage of Umar should have been a clinical psychologist
he should have been a clinical psychologist 5-6 years ago. Umar Johnson has an ability, being a clinical psychologist, to have way more credibility than he has just as with being a doctorate of psychology, which to me is nothing to sneeze at. But he knows as well as I know from a clinical and a professional standpoint. Now, from an academia standpoint, Umar can, with a degree, a doctorate in psychology, can say and do things at the same level. But when we look at practicality as far as clinically doing things, even though he's trained in objective and projective testing and so forth, and his clinical knowledge of using the DSM and so forth, he would hold more heat. He could challenge with those credentials behind his name. Not that he needs to, but it would be more. To me, it would look a lot better as far as being peer-to-peer review. Not that he cares about that, because he doesn't. Because if he cared about it, he would have been licensed 5-6 years ago. He chose not to. Yes, those are things I will be questioning him on this when I see him. I'm going to make it a point to see Dr. Umar. I will be doing live streams all day Saturday on me preparing for that event. On my way to the event, I will be recording the event, and my son usually comes to me when I go to pro-black events. My son will be there with my camera as I talk to and question Umar, and I will be asking him. All I need is 10-15 minutes of Umar's time, and I will ask him these things. Yes, Conscious Energy. Umar will be in Houston on the 10th of July. I think he's going to be at the Shrine of the Black Madonna off of MLK. Again, I'm not sure about that, but I saw the video Saturday, I think, where he said he was at the gym, fixing the gym. I'm also going to go September the 11th. I'm probably going to go to that event that he's having at the FDMG Academy. And my son will be with me again. My son goes with me to pro-black events. When I want to see somebody that's lecturing, I've taken my son to see several people. I've taken my son to see Umar. I've taken my son to see Ray Hagan. I've taken my son to see Dr. Chris Wilson before she passed away. I've Professor what's the guy's name that lived in Ghana? He's a doctor also. He was on Sinetta before. He lives in Ghana right now. I've taken him. Matter of fact, me and him was talking about Umar and when him and Tariq Nasheed was acting out. Yeah, to speak easy, but I don't want to talk about the YouTube shenanigans. I'm going to talk to him as one mental health professional to another mental health professional. I'm going to talk to him about the dynamic between the lack of the black father in the family, the stressors of the single black mother as it relates to her inability to raise black males. I'm going to talk about the school to prison pipeline. I'm going to talk to him about the effects of psychoactive medications. I want to talk to him about how these kids are treated, the ineffectibility of the alternative schools, that many of these kids are diagnosed with behavioral and mood disorders, because these are the kids that I treat. I'm not going to be talking to him about Lynn and Honor and his goofy ass antics. I will not be talking to him about Gerald Palmer mad that Umar don't want to be his man. I'm not going to talk to him about stuff like that. It has no relevance to professionals like me and Umar Johnson. It is above our pay grade to talk about this nonsense. Now, I'll do it on my channel because this is what this channel is partially about. I'm going to ask Umar. It's going to sound like a damn interdisciplinary meeting, mental health meeting between me and Umar. That's what it's going to sound like. It's going to talk. You're going to be hearing us talk about diagnoses. We're going to be talking about treatment plans. You know, all of those things. What's up, Micah Israel? Haven't seen you in a long time, brother. We're going to talk about real stuff. Also, guys, Cash App the D Darrell, $Darrell77. Please donate to the Janet's house. These are the things I'm going to talk about. These are the things that I'm going to focus on. I'm coming as a mental health professional speaking to another mental health professional. I'm going to talk about, you know, the assessment, I'm more interested in anything is his take on the overusage of the term narcissism in YouTube. People using terms, defense mechanisms, the therapeutic relationship that he has had with these children, / the educational relationship, how he's going to foster that environment at the FDMG Academy as far as these kids' participation in mental health services, because they will be needed, because there will be children that will attend FDMG Academy that will have a mental health diagnosis. Conscious Energy said he'll be there. I believe that I'm the person that's best suited to interview Umar Johnson than anybody, because I'm the only one from a professional standpoint, from an intellectual standpoint, that can pull out information that can showcase the true genius of Umar Johnson. But see, everybody else is asking all of these relative ass, these very layman term ass questions. That they asking the same damn questions that Umar has answered the same questions in dozens of interviews. Umar has answered the same questions in repetitive ass questions in almost every interview. Black Cat said, don't go with conscious energy. You won't get the interview. Y'all are silly, man. Well, I'm going to ask him, because this is what Umar did the last time he came. When I saw him, and me and him did a pound with each other. When Umar came the last time, Umar, man, I'm going to say, man, for y'all, what made me was, man, Umar, I'm going to tell you, that place was packed. Umar had well over 3,000 people at that event. They had tons of speakers, people performing. Umar, they had vendors that made thousands of dollars off of selling products because of Umar Johnson. There were tons of women trying to get at Umar Johnson that came dressed a little, you know, a little less than what should have been. When Umar Johnson, after Umar Johnson, for y'all that don't understand, Umar Johnson interacts with the crowd.
after Umar left, when we left out of the Shrine of the Black Madonna, Umar went into the cultural center. And in the cultural center, Umar Johnson took pictures and spoke and was filmed by people as he was speaking. No, we're not going. We're not going to go do that kind of thing. No, that's not. D. Darrell ain't doing that. I'm not trying to get. Nobody ain't gonna be taking pictures of me and Umar throwing dollar signs and have us spread all across. Have us spread all across the internet and social media. Oh no, y'all not putting me in all of that. Y'all not gonna be hating on D. Darrell got Umar in trouble or got Umar all over, blaming me. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing all of that. That's what Umar doing with the money. He making it rain, and D. Darrell making it rain with the Janice House money. Oh no, y'all not about to have my name all over and my name and credibility all over YouTube. No. I'm not doing that. No. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the link out. Anybody want to come up, y'all can come and converse with D. Darrell. I just want to make this known. I have no issues with Smoke Thug. I have no issues at all with Smokegod. I'm sorry. When I do another PTSD show, if Smoke want to come and interact because he's been diagnosed with that, he's more than happy to do so. Okay. P said, how difficult is it to determine whether severe behavioral disorders are linked or rooted in discipline or mental disorders? Okay. Now, that's something I can talk very, very easily about. As you assess a person's behavior, a lot of what you're going to have to look at is the history of how this child was raised, the time frame in which they interacted in certain behaviors. Every mental health disorder has features or characteristics. When you look at things such as ADHD or attention deficit disorder, you can determine whether or not it's predominantly hyperactive, predominantly attentive, or a mix of both. What you have to ascertain is the fact of how that person acts in his primary environment versus how he acts in secondary environments such as school, other family members in the community. Most of the time when we assess a child's behavior, we're looking at two environments. There's either the home environment and the school environment. We look at both. Okay? The way I can tell a kid mental issues are linked towards the way he was raised is when I interview the parents. And I can tell by the demeanor of the parents whether or not they're not consistent. They don't provide an environment of love or providing an environment of correction. They're not providing a safe environment. They're lacking from a financial standpoint to provide stable housing, food, clothing, and shelter. Also, I look at the fact that how they make a child accountable. I can easily tell in a clinical interview with the child and the mother looking at their verbal and nonverbal interaction, whether or not this mother or father or both are a good parent. One of the biggest detections of a behavioral issue being linked to the home is that when you look at these kids diagnosed with these illnesses, almost 85 to 90% of the time, the black father is not in the household. Mm-hmm. That is the number one determinant. Mm-hmm. These kids that are diagnosed, particularly black males, do not come from two-parent households where the parents are married or financially secure. Most of them come from single-parent households where the mother had way too many children that she can afford and is psychologically able to manage. One of the reasons why a lot of these children are undisciplined, because a lot of these mothers should not be having 3, 4, 5 children. They probably can only handle 1 or 2 children by themselves. So they're stretched, they're overworked, they're overcompensating, and these kids are unsupervised. Now, when you look at the characteristics, and I'm going to highlight characteristics of kids that are diagnosed with ADHD. And when you look at the things that which kids are diagnosed with ADHD versus because the fact that these lazy ass teachers don't want to also provide discipline and some form of correction, they find the use of medications as an easy out, because teachers in the 21st century don't want to be involved from a social standpoint in correcting children. What they want a child to do is come in, sit down, shut up, listen, and that's it. And don't question a damn thing. That's not, at that age of a child's psychosocial development, that's not how children function. ADHD, you're looking at the fact of, is this kid able to complete a certain amount of activities in succession without being distracted? Daydreaming, repetitive daydreaming, fidgeting of the feet to hands, unable to stay in the seat, constant movements around, impulsive type behaviors where they're repetitively doing certain things over and over, constantly disrupting others, okay? Constantly, doing things that are disrupting the classroom, being hyperactive, getting around, running around, rolling, doing all kind of little silly things because they don't want to stay seated. Most of the kids that get in trouble with ADHD and ADD and other behavior disorders and so forth is because they're hitting other kids, they're causing harm to other kids, they're talking back, yelling, cursing. A lot of those type of behaviors are not symptomatic to ADHD. Those are a matter of parental advising, parental influence. That's the difference, P. When you talk about the kids who are being disruptive in the classroom as it relates to the quote unquote characteristics of ADHD versus them lacking social discipline in the classroom. Because a lot of these kids, when they're being disruptive, a kid with ADHD doesn't have to be disrespectful. A kid with ADHD doesn't have to curse other kids and students. A kid with ADHD hitting other kids is not a feature of ADHD. ADHD is clearly defined by a child's inability to function in an environment where they're in a stationary position and paying attention for a long period of time. All of the characteristics of ADHD are somewhat linked to that. And there's some level of impulsivity as it relates to like kind of fidgeting movements and doing all types of other gestures. Okay?
Yeah.
But most of these kids that get in trouble, they get suspended for fighting. They get suspended for stealing. They playing with fire, fascination with fires. Those are not characteristics of ADHD, but because these they don't want to do their homework and things like that, because these teachers don't want to deal with that and these parents are not holding these children accountable, they want to put a label on them and put them on medication that's going to force them to look like a zombie in class.
Well, and
that's the facts.
And
so for me, I can identify it very easy. All I have to do is sit the parent and the child together, or the parents, and have an interview and ask questions. And in that meeting, the way that child behaves and the way their parent acts and talks to them and how they do will signify whether or not I feel that this was a product of bad parenting, not necessarily because this child developed bad behaviors. And do understand, there's a lot of people there's not a lot of people that have adult ADHD. Okay, but most of these kids grow out of these behaviors over time. They don't. Kids with ADHD don't stay having ADHD the rest of their life. And one of the reasons is because as they get older, they grow out of things, and also for the fact that because they're in a different environment, kids older want to blend in with older kids. So if you're a teenager, you want to blend in with other teenagers. You're an adult, you want to blend in with other adults. You don't want to be the person that's, even though they're kids that have ADHD that have issues functioning, but their whole behavioral, the way they display the symptoms is a lot different. So P, I hope I answered your question, P.
Well, you know what I mean you
Hold
more
on, P. I
than
can't hear you. Hold on
okay.
one
Go ahead.
second.
That might be me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red Pill, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Hold on, guys. I for some reason I can't hear anybody. Give me 1 second.
Can you hear us now?
Now we can't hear you. You might
Yeah,
No,
we
we can't
can't
hear
hear
you.
you.
We can't hear you, Diderot.
you might be muted, Darrell.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you good.
Can you hear us?
P, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Maybe because you're wearing that headphone. Maybe that's one of the reasons. I'm not sure. Check the audio settings. Diderot.
Still can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Diderot. Take off the headphones. Maybe through the normal speaker it will go better.
Still can't hear you.
Diderot. Maybe you can share your screen with us in your audio centrals so that we can help. Maybe we can help you out. Diderot, you there?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Can you hear
Can
us?
you hear us?
Man, I don't hear nothing.
Diderot, I sent you a private message. Share your screen to audio settings. Maybe we can help you out.
Man, testing.
Yes, we can hear you. B,
Testing.
we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Testing.
Yes, we hear you say testing.
Testing.
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't think you can hear us.
Does anyone have an echo? Yeah.
Guys, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Okay, guys. I'm sorry about that.
You good,
What's
Oh,
man?
that's no problem.
What's
and look,
poppin'?
it had some issues with it, so it's the settings are good now. So what's going on, players?
Okay. What's going
Man,
on? What's going on?
top of
Hey,
it, man.
you know, you answered so many questions for me that I'm not a psychologist, but like in driving buses, I would make observations about my students, and I drove I drove a quote unquote special ed route, but that umbrella, severe discipline falls under that umbrella too. And I would be sitting on my bus like, they don't like half of these kids. This to me, like you say, having to interact with their parents. I'm like, man, half of these kids is just bad as fuck. But like,
Right.
but like you say, because the teachers either won't or can't deal with the disciplinary problems, they have to go to these psychotropic drugs in order to basically like tranquilize these kids. You know what I'm saying? Because they're being misdiagnosed. You know what I mean? And it's something that parents really need to think about. The dangerous road you can see your children down just by them being severely just out of control and not be able to be disciplined.
I agree.
And something that I noticed, and when you touched on it, like, yeah, you know what, I could tell the difference because I was going to ask you about that, but you kind of summed it up as part of diagnosis. I would notice with a lot of my children, and just even my observation with a lot of youngsters now, I see a whole lot of just what I call like nervous tension energy. You know what I mean? And I don't know if the ADHD children, if that's like one of the signs, but when you said like that, just that nervous fidgeting, that release of nervous energy, like either just not being able to sit still, and you just like they're almost like shaking. You know what I mean? So I guess my follow-up question would be is like, that's something I never used to notice, but I noticed that more in children now. Like they are just like almost like they own something.
Right. Well,
I'm just wondering.
what we're seeing is, I think technology has a lot to do with this because, back then, this is a problem that has happened that I blame the school system for. The school systems have taken out the ability for children to play outside. They've minimized that. When I went to school, we had 3 recesses and PE. Now look at certain schools and so forth. They may have 1 recess and lunch to play and no PE at all. They're feeding kids unhealthy foods, which also has a effect on them as far as the sugary foods that they're eating. And their diet. Your diet can have an influence on your behavior. These kids are eating a lot of sweetie, fatty things that can have an effect on hyperactive behavior. Okay? And so I think a lot of this is the fact that these kids are so conditioned to play video games and they're conditioned to be on phones that when it comes to things that don't require an ongoing an ongoing sequence of things happening. When you play video games, there's a constant flow of sequences and things that you have to respond to. When you're functioning in an educational environment, that it's a slower pace and everything is not done in sequence one after another that requires some type of verbal cue or physical cue with your hands. And so that's the fidgeting comes from the fact that they're constantly thinking they have to be doing something. The technology conditions you to think sequence response, this, that. And in life, that's not how life operates. Life, there's downtime. Life that you have to concentrate, you have to, reflect, you have to think. And in that time of just sitting there to do those things, they struggle because they want something, they want some type of action to simultaneously occur one incident after another. And that's just not how life works. Yeah. And so when I teach kids how to behave and do behavioral shaping and other modeling and role playing and so forth, I teach them how to minimize those symptoms, to focus on one situation at a time. Mm-hmm. If you have to do your homework, focus on homework. Don't focus on the fact that you see the blue letters on the wall and the pictures flowing. When you finish that, let's go to another thing. Finish that, do that. One module at a time. Not a situation that encompasses one, to think that there's an ebb and flow of events occurring, an ebb and flow of behavioral response, trigger, stimulation ongoing. Mm-hmm. That is not consistent with the way you have to operate in the world. What's up, China White? How you doing? And so kids think like video games, there's a constant flow of things happening. Life, it doesn't work like that. So kids, when they have to sit there and watch a teacher teach, lecture, show, they struggle with that because they want something more stimulating.
Right. Hey, do you think part of it might be well, this is my last question, but do you think part of that, because you're talking about that constant stimulation from video games or social media and phones and all that, and the lack of it when they're in school, do you think they might be suffering from dopamine withdrawals?
The dopamine withdrawal is more effective when it comes to depression and mood disorders, not necessarily. Again, that's a little bit outside of my expertise. But what I do know is that when they speak of dopamine and so forth, we're usually talking about a person's mood and depression, things of that sort. Okay. Mania and depression. We're not necessarily talking about behavioral issues. Now, there could be some research to support that or not. That's a little bit outside of my expertise. I've never read anything. I'm not saying what you're saying is not true, but I've never encountered any research that substantiated that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's a little bit outside of my expertise. Yes, sir.
Hey, Darrell, it's me again, Rashid. And as you know, I'm an anthropologist and a sociologist. So I'm not a therapist or neuropsychologist like you are and Dr. Abdullah Johnson. But what you said about children, because they were raised with video games, and now a lot of them of this young generation with things like iPads and all of that, they are trained to seek everlasting stimulation. And of course, I understand, because in daily life, as an adult, there will be a lot of repetition, redundancy, and things you have to just get used to. So the thing is, due to the increasing use of technology, you also see in the culture, because I study culture, you see the culture that people developed a high maintenance expectation of life. That if you don't please me within just a few seconds, you're out. You get me? And this isn't just because of modern day social media or video games. It has been this way since the post modern era. Let me say since the 1980s. It slowly developed, and it's now that we're seeing the outworking of it culturally, because culture determines policy, and
correct.
Policy determines how children are expected to be raised by the community. You have formal policies, those are codified in black ink, which we call them laws. Okay, and then you have informal policies. It's how the public expects people to behave in daily life. And parents in general, I'm not saying all the time, but in general, they follow the informal policies of the community they're operating in. So if the culture has shifted towards this overly stimulated media, that will be reflected back in the parents. And when this is done to the children, when the children are older, the children will be quite bored quickly at things they normally wouldn't be bored at. And that's how you have a culture that generates addicts. You get me?
Okay.
Because,
Yes. I
but okay,
understand
that may be a bit more. Okay, that may be more your take, your field, Liderel. But as an anthropologist, I can clearly see that the way the culture has been shaped through globalization, it has shaped the current way children are treated in schools. You get me?
Yes. Culture does dictate that. Culture, but see, a lot of that comes from government, ulterior motives of the government. The government institutes certain things because they want the society to function in a certain manner that benefits the government.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. That you have to understand. That's why children are educated on, or not educated on certain things. It's the reason why there's no black history of any significance in schools. There's a reason why you're taught certain things. It's a reason why there's certain activities that are implemented and the certain teaching strategies that they go about. Like I can tell you this one thing. I can give you an example. Over the last 10 to 15 years, penmanship and writing has been de-emphasized in schools.
You just read my mind. Go ahead.
That has been de-emphasized. Matter of fact, it was a guy that I worked with that actually was a teacher for years. He's a certified teacher. And I talked to him about my oldest daughter was like, I think she was at the time, she probably was in the 4th or 5th grade. And I told him, I said, how come they're not doing a lot of grammar as far as writing sentences? And he said, well, what they're doing now, they want these children to be more acclimated to using devices. So there's not an emphasis on your handwriting. There's not an emphasis on how effective you write letters, the size of the letters, writing in cursive. I can say for us, and my son, my youngest son's 15. When he was in middle school and like 4th or 5th grade when you start learning to write in cursive. My son is not effective in writing in cursive.
Right.
He does not. He has a horrible handwriting, and one of the reasons why, because they did not spend a lot of time teaching children, or let's say emphasizing the use of cursive writing. So that's because they want the culture to no longer write as much. They want us to use buttons to type on computers because that's where they're trying to condition them to use devices instead of having a sheet of paper and writing notes and so forth. See, that's an example. Another thing that I can tell you an example of is how they've implemented certain things for the LGBT community. That's a culture. That's a thing that the government wants to me, to be honest with you, middle school and elementary, that to me, in my opinion, that has no place. Kids from ages 4 to 5 years old to 13 and 12 have no business having. That's my opinion as a parent. But as we all know, in the school system, there is an emphasis to have certain pronouns used a certain way, certain phrases, so that these children can learn to be more LGBT friendly and look at that as being a natural part of American society. I would say per se.
Pedro.
Yes, sir.
Can I go into that? Social audience knows who I am. I'm Rashid Dawsett, and I'm from Curacao, an island near Venezuela. I have the Dutch nationality. I'm a black man, unapologetically African also. I've been following this sector for a while, also DDRL. I've been with DDRL on panels with We Unlock a few times. And about this whole matter about schools and teaching culture, that's more my field as an anthropologist and as a sociologist. And from a sociological point of view, what I clearly see now is that the Western, the Western world is in a crisis. because they can't justify their dominance anymore. And their dominance also caused a lot of harm in many communities throughout the generations. So what's going on now is that now that white supremacy is kind of collapsing internally, they need to save face externally. And now that's why now, instead of facing the issues, they are coming with relief packages. You get me? And, okay, let me give an example. Okay, till the Second World War, because I grew up in Europe and I can speak and read German, so I could go through historical records and go through all of this. It was quite common in the German Empire for teachers to use corporal punishment on children and even teenagers. So parents would smack their children and teachers would do it. And even got out of line. There were even contests in schools which teacher had the most smackings of children. It went quite far. So a lot of the men in the German Empire, also outside of it, they were quite traumatized. And then you also had the humiliation of the First World War, for which they were blamed unjustly. So all of this led to them looking for a masculine figure to validate their manhood, because they were smacked down too often. And this led to the Second World War, in which many of the white folks turned on one another. Okay? And it was so dramatic for them as a people that at the end of the Second World War, they began to reflect, how did this happen? Why is it that we had to ask colored Muslims from India and from North Africa to come and rescue us? And why did you need those blacks from America and also from some of the colonies come and save us from killing each other? Then they realized very quickly, you know what? Beating children, especially publicly, that's not a very good idea. Let's stop that. And they became on code in changing their behavior in parents. Now that works. But however, they dealt with one aspect within their culture, so was effective, not the other ones. And when it comes to the rainbow community, as I call it, I'm saying rainbow community because I don't want your channel to be sensitive to YouTube algorithm. Now, you understand, Dieter? So that's why the rainbow community is there to hide the sexual defectiveness that came from this militaristic culture that Europeans held on to. And by the way, the present-day school system that most of us are familiar with came from the Kingdom of Prussia, which was the main constituent kingdom of the German Empire. The Prussian school system was militaristic in origin, and that's where the uniform comes from. All that. It's all about developing a hive mind amongst the public, where everyone says yes to the government. So in this militaristic school system, which became implemented worldwide, there is no room for self-reflection. Now, over time, this changed a little bit, but the thing is, when self-reflection comes in, children and also teenagers going to ask hard questions about their culture that people are too ashamed to answer. And it's where the anthropological knowledge comes in. As an anthropologist, I can clearly see that in order to avoid difficult questions about the sexual defectiveness what's going on amongst Europeans, what happened then is that the European diaspora, I mean the whites in America for European diaspora, they give in to the outcry of those small communities of people with alternative sexual lifestyles, and they removed a certain diagnosis from some manual for psychologists and psychiatrists. You know which one I'm talking about. And since then, they began to push this normalization of that behavior, and now it is so ingrained in people to think that this sexually alternative behavior is something just born with. You can't do anything about it. Well, there's no actual science, not in the social sciences, not in other sciences, that can prove that it's the case. There are even research that prove that someone's sexual lifestyle is a cultural product of where they grew up, and that genetics have very few things to do with it. But why did they put this narrative out there that you're born this way? I'm telling you why. They put this narrative out there so that they don't have to face more of the defectiveness in their own cultures. And think about it. If they have to address what leads to people having sexual confused lifestyles. They also need to address child molestation. They need to address that a lot of people were in on it by keeping things silent. They need to talk about all kinds of stuff that actually can't justify. So by just saying you're born this way, that means the community feels relief from responsibility for how they neglected their own. And then when pollution comes up and costs, then the community can say, well, they're born this way. What can we do about it? The community doesn't have to financially deal with the therapy and everything comes along with it. You get
Right?
me?
Yeah, exactly. I hear it's a justification to make something that they don't want to. It's almost like you're trying to avoid the fire, in a sense, the true confrontation of what is and what's not, and so they're hiding it under policy and under these type of behaviors. So,
Okay, and by the way, I'm 29 years old. I'm about to turn 30 next month, so people know that I'm a bit younger than all of you guys over here.
okay,
Happy belated birthday, man.
good. All right. What's up, Red Pill Finance?
Man, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, man. I've reduced my live streams a lot, man. I'm just, things, so much stuff going on business wise. I'm just not able to invest as much time as I would like to at this point. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be periods like this. That's just how it is,
yeah,
You have
man.
your low
Business
points.
comes first, man, before anything, man. I hear you on that one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you were talking about as far as like kids taking these pills as far as like ADHD, right? I remember like a few years ago I was a counselor at like a school at like an after school program, and it was this one kid, man, like he had a lot of energy, man, like for some reason like he was kind of like disruptive, but he was actually a cool kid, he was talking all that, but he was like he always had a problem with other kids, man, and like he came in school one day and like his mood was off. I'm like, yo, man, what's wrong with you, man? And like he said, oh, I didn't take my medication today, man. And, like I could tell because like his whole demeanor changed. He didn't have any energy, and like and when you see him, like he like a whole like different person. You feel me? Like
Right.
so like you can see like the changes like these drugs do to these kids.
Yes, that it does have side effects. One of the reasons, and this was something that drove me to support Umar, because Umar to me is that's other people that such as Dr. Naeem Agbar and Dr. Amos Wilson, who are elders, who talked about this. But for as my generation, Umar is probably the first mental health professional, notable doctor of psychology, and my notable for my generation, because me and Umar, I think Umar is maybe 2 or 3 years older than I am, that actually spoke, as far as notably speaking on these particular topics. And side effects is one of the biggest reasons why I encourage parents not to give their kids, or not to allow and consent to these kids being given this medication, given these drugs, because there's so many side effects. Like one of the notable side effects for kids that have ADHD, when they're taking a be honest with you, the medicines that they're taking are actually stimulants.
Mm-hmm.
And so the research supposedly says the stimulant has a adverse effect on, not an adverse effect, but it has an opposite effect when these kids have hyperactivity. So if a kid has ADHD, the stimulant actually doesn't stimulate, it actually slows them down. But if a person that does not have these symptoms, that's why drugs such as Adderall and other psychostimulants, they're not. If you were tested positive in many professional sports, including the Olympics, they would say it was a performance enhancer. You're not allowed to take those type of psych meds when you're in professional sports and in the Olympics, because it can do things that can enhance your ability to concentrate and stay focused and so forth, that other, without having it, other drugs wouldn't do. So kids that take these drugs, a lot of them, the complaints that I get a lot is that it can also act as a eating suppressant. It can cause them not to want to eat. It gives them dry mouth. It causes itching. It can things of that sort. It can cause you to gain weight. So these are and also some of these medicines can have an effect on them in which they may become
it can cause them to have bad dreams, or become more violent, or it can actually cause them to be depressed or suicidal. It can have those type of effects depending on the type of stimulant that we're talking about, or type of let's say mood stabilizer or antidepressant. It can present or cause those type of effects, negative effects on a child. And the thing about it, children don't handle or they have a tendency to not cope with symptoms of side effects as adults do. That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't encourage children to take it, because a lot of kids can't deal with the side effects. They'll act out because of the side effects.
You know, D. Darrell, when you mentioned Adderall and what it, what it can do, I was just sitting here like my jaw dropped, because I remember something my son was telling me this about a year and a half ago, but he was telling me like there's a big controversy among this competitive video gaming,
Right.
like professional video gaming, in which they were considering starting to test people
For Adderall.
For Adderall, because of just what you said. Like it was help, like it was increasing their like concentration and their fast twitch reaction time.
Yes,
and everything.
It
And
sure
I'm
does.
just like, so like almost like a mental steroid. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, it is. There were pictures as a few years ago. There was a picture in the major leagues, in Major League Baseball. There a lot of pitchers were using Adderall as a performance enhancer, so that they can
just not to cut you off, but I'm just thinking about this from just like a common sense type standpoint, right? If you think of your brain as a motor, it's design, considering how much of our brain we use, we naturally are running at peak efficiency with our brain. So anything above that, yeah, you may be getting like better quote unquote engine performance, but in a sense, won't that like have your brain kind of like running hot?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's like, although it's artificially being caused, like it's more stimulation than your brain would normally be governed by. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like the side effects like of using it too much would be almost like shit, like frying your brain from overwork.
Yes, and then you know what they're going to do? They're going to prescribe another med because what they're going to see is the observable behaviors that are a product of that, and they're going to assume you may need another drug, you may need another medication.
Well, and that leads to a term. You can tell me what it is, but basically, like where we are in the big pharma age, that the term where the medication you take causes something else that you got to take a medication for, which causes something else that you got to take a medication for.
That can happen.
But there's a specific term that I can't remember. But it's sad that it happens so much. There's actually a word for it.
I couldn't tell you.
Hey, Dieter, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you feel like as a teacher, like observing kids, you feel like they should have any like say so, like having the kid be like, oh, they have ADHD, or like should they even be qualified to say that?
Should a teacher be qualified to say that?
Yeah, like just observing the kid, being around them, like, oh, you should get them looked at. Like, do you feel like they have like the right to say that?
No, they don't. Teachers are not mental health professionals. And that's something that Umar actually talked about, that a lot of parents that allow teachers to manipulate them into putting their kids on medications. These teachers are not mental health professionals. Now, what the teacher can do is reach out to the parent, and they'll try to pressure them to signing services to get an EAP plan and all of these 504 accommodations that may be linked to them having to see a diagnostician to diagnose them. Even in that, to be honest with you, what parents don't understand, you don't have to use the school system to diagnose or treat your children. To me, one of the biggest mistakes, and I don't know if Owen may have stated this, is that I would advise any parent to not allow the school system to implement any type of objective psychological appraisal or testing on their children. If you think your children has ADHD, go get them tested by an outside source. If you think your child has a learning disability, go get that done by a private institution outside the school system. And yes, I know it's not free. You're going to have to pay for it, but you will probably get a more reliable clinical outcome or result from an outside professional as opposed to somebody that's working in the system that's designed to diagnose the children, because the more children are diagnosed, the more federal funding that school can get. So that's economics behind that. And the bottom, and look at the state. Let me tell you, the state of New York, particularly the city of New York, is notorious. There are Jewish-owned behavioral companies. Matter of fact, my brother Q Butter made a. This is one thing that I do agree with him about. He made light of a Jewish-owned company that is making millions of dollars off of our young black boys, getting them treated and assessed and ongoing treatment in the school system. These are not black companies that are doing this, or black mental health professionals. These are non-black people that are testing, treating, and evaluating our children, and they're monetizing it, making millions.
They
This is
drug
a
dealers,
fact.
man. It's crazy.
This is a fact. See, we don't understand. See, as black folks, and I'm gonna say this, one of the biggest problems we don't have a culture of understanding business and how to monetize things. We're great at being creative. We're great at being entertaining, creative, fair. Just trying to, as far as the whole fairness of things and producing such things. But as far as the business aspects of other cultures, have a culture of always trying to find ways how to make money. We're focused on the product. We're focused on the creation, the development of it. We're focused on the cultural aspects, the expressions of it. But for some reason, when it comes to the business aspect of it, we feel we need other people. And to me, that's an example of how there are other people coming in, evaluating and treating our children, and they're getting paid for it. They're getting rich off of our, mental health issues. They're getting rich off of our pathology, to lack a better word. And so, but you don't have to give in to what these people are asking you to do, is what I'm really trying to state. You don't have to have a, matter of fact, they cannot diagnose or treat or evaluate your child without your consent. If you don't have to use them. And if they tell you that you have to, they're lying. You can seek those same services with a private, another professional in private practice, and probably get a better, more reliable outcome. That's facts.
So
because our best mental health professionals don't work in education. Our best mental health professionals work in hospitals and private practice. But go ahead, Red Pill.
Yeah, but like how the schools like usually have like their procedure like as far as like addressing it, like
What's the procedure?
yeah.
Well, that's something I don't deal with a whole lot because I'm usually the provider that's the teacher seeks. I'm usually an outside provider that schools utilize when they don't have the resources themselves. But what pretty much usually happens is that if they're finding problems, they're going to have a meeting with the child's parents. It always starts with the parents, and then they're going to outline what resources are available. They're going to ask to do it. They may do what's called an independent educational plan. They may have They may ask for them to have 504 accommodations, things of that sort, and then they're going to lay out the fact that we are going to have to use a diagnostician to do a battery of tests to find out what the needs are. Before they do that, you have to have the parents' consent. What parents usually do is they just willfully hand over their kids to the school and allow them to do whatever they have to do. Of course, the diagnostician is going to come up with a diagnosis and whatever evaluation. And in that, they're going to lay out a plan, which is the ILP plan, in which this child is going to have to follow, which is going to place them in special education, getting accommodations, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to meet. They're going to meet with the parent periodically to talk about any concerns and progress. So there's going to be some level of parent participation in that. But the thing about it, these parents don't have to submit to this. They don't have to. You can decline all of it. Yep. You can get an outside provider to provide everything that the school is providing.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's not a requirement; it's a service.
Exactly. But what parents, but see what the parent does, they assume that the school is looking out for the best interest of the child. Mm-hmm. Even the black parent assumes because the child is acting out, because the child is doing this or that, or the grades are not good, they have to know what they're doing. I'm going to trust the system. I'm going to allow them to do whatever so that it can help my child. And to be honest with you, they're looking out the best interest of themselves. They don't care about young black boys. Black boys probably make up less than 6% of the American school system. However, even though they make up less than 6% of the American school system, they probably make up for I'm going to say 30 to 40% of the ADHD diagnosis in public schools. That makes no goddamn sense. Mm-hmm. But see, that's a correlation, because isn't that synonymous or equivalent to the criminal justice system? Black men make 6.5% of the American population. Yet we make up about over 50% of people being locked up. Mm-hmm. Isn't that relative to that?
Yeah, and it's I'm gonna and if you tell me like, hey, that's not relatable, or that's not or nah, don't it's apples and oranges, but on your Do the Real Life Solutions channel, you would drop a video about I call it the epidemic. Those are my words, not yours, but the epidemic of children being born out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? So you have that and a ripple effect of that coming from the home on top of a school system where, hell, if you ain't damn near self-motivated, you're not going to get no education. So, bam. I see that it's the 1-2 punch. You fucked up home life, and so your mind isn't that you're gonna get my education. You see what I'm saying? So you kind of doomed almost.
Yeah. And so as parents, again, I'm gonna say this: a lot of these kids that have behavioral problems, they have behavioral problems because they lack the ability to adjust to the educational environment that's different from the home in which they come from. And the parents, a lot of these parents are not raising their children with the proper etiquette that prepares them to go into school. As far as showing respect, showing a certain period of time of paying attention, learning, following directions. All of these things, some of these kids, particularly those in one-parent homes, where they may have limited, and limited parenting from their parent because they're working 2 or 3 jobs with multiple children, and some of them are young. They're not equipped to go into the educational system in pre-K or kindergarten with learning to show respect, learning to follow directions, stay seated, to follow verbal commands. Notice, school is about being where you're supposed to be for whatever activity, following verbal commands, following verbal instructions, responding to a stimulus in a certain manner, and willfully learning what the teacher is teaching, what the information that the teacher is giving out, to basically learn it without question, which children learn without question anyway. But that's what school is. School is a institutional environment that requires children to basically comply at will. It sounds like prison. It's almost like prison when you really look at it.
Well, you know what? It sounds like it. And what's crazy, like, damn, that does sound like prison or the military, but it's like at the same time, I'm like, shit, that sounds like school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see the difference. But this is the difference, because when you look at it, we want the children to comply at will to the teacher, to the teacher's aide, to the principals, to the rules. You have to abide by rules. Now, part of what school is supposed to do, and my brother on the panel also as a anthropologist, when he looks at who probably studied previous cultures and how they educate their children, we have to understand the difference in Western society is that in other cultures, particularly those in other primitive, I'm not going to say primitive, but previous centuries ago, they educated children in small, as far as a small amount of children in one particular space. No, Western civilization is the only civilization that's trying to mass educate children at mass.
Yes.
That's
Can
the
I
difference.
Can I go into that, Diderot?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. You said it's like this. In anthropology, we look at the quality of human life in cultures. In sociology, we only look at industrialized societies to look at the group dynamics in an industrialized society. You get me? Because in a society that's not industrialized, you don't have those strong group dynamics like you have in an industrialized society. You get me? That's why sociologists are a bit more quantitative, and anthropologists are looking at the quality, the spiritual roots, and all of that. So what you said about education is absolutely true. The reason why the Western world began to mass educate the youth was because they had to justify why they were occupying most of the Earth's surface with their flags. You get me?
Right.
Because, for example, you had France breathing in the neck of the Africans to establish French West Africa, and he went all the way to Indochina and all the way to Korea, wanting to colonize. And the white people in Europe were thinking, why are our leaders so occupied, so obsessed with the Negroes or with the Asians or whatever, but they're not focused on us and us over here? So to appease their own white base, white supremacy had to justify its exploitation of the world's resources. Because one thing a lot of people don't understand is, and by the way, I just did a 4-hour live about economic power for Black people and other people that want to operate in spiritual power. So for those that want, they can go to my channel and watch that live afterwards. But anyway, what it comes down to is that Europeans have been bankrupted since the era of Napoleon, since 1815. So if you've bankrupted your own people because you want to just shut up and comply in a military way, eventually you have to compensate it. And that's why you had the Industrial Revolution, where they pushed their own white folks into cities. Now, if you're in cities, you're not in the village anymore, on the farm, where you have the parents and the community elders teaching the children. So now you need to come with an alternative way. And that's how they came up with the Prussian school system. And in the Prussian school system from Prussia was a German kingdom, you are actually tricking the children into not pay attention to their own intuition, but rely on society to think for them. That's what the Prussian school system was meant to do. And Prussia was a very militaristic society. You get me? And this is what Western civilization is based upon when it comes to schooling. They've bankrupted their own white folks during the Napoleon era. And now the Roman Catholic Church and some white religious sects, they have all the cash. And the public gets compensation by working in factories or by later in the corporate world. Corporate came from this. So exactly. That's why they need to mass educate. And in Asia, they followed the example of the Western world based on Prussia also. That's why they had to do that. But the thing is, this Prussian school system, you just said it sometimes feels like prison at times. And it's true because it's meant to shut down your own natural intuition and cause you to become addicted to the leading figure. Think about it. The German Empire was militaristic. You had to look up to the German kings and the German emperor, which called the Kaiser. You get me? And the British and the others adopted it also. In Japan, they adopted the same system, and you had to be tricked into worshiping the Japanese emperor. So that same trick in breaking down the child's intuition and then cause them to over rely on external authority to direct them, that's what this school system does. But that also has side effects that as adults, people will need an outlet for things like frustration or pain in general, because they were never taught how to deal with these things in a constructive way. They just had to comply to make sure everyone else is at peace. So, and this school system, this Prussian school system was set up for white folks so that they would shut up and not question the imperial powers. You get me? Now, this school system has been left behind. And it has been updated a little bit, but it has been reformed. It hasn't removed itself from its military roots from Prussia. And because of that, people of color or Black people have issues in the school system because it was never designed for them to begin with.
That's right. That's correct. It was not designed for us. And so my thing is that what would benefit, in my opinion, is African-orientated education for African people. And we have to look at the productive things, the things that work for us as a culture, and you implement the culture into our educational system. Because what we're asking our children to do is to enter into a European model of teaching that basically minimizes our worth, our values, and also puts us in a position of being what I would say submissive to the things that they want. Exactly. Because what you have to look at is that when you look at the educational system, the people that control policy with regards to the principals, the school, the teachers are usually white females for the most part. The principal is probably an adult white male, and the school boards and so forth are probably majority white in most cases. So it's almost like we're going to socialize you to understand that you are to be subservient to us. And everything that we teach and tell you is the truth, and you don't have the right to criticize it and accept it. And notice, look at the people who are the most successful in American society as far as black people. They're not counterculture. Most of the people who are at the upper echelon are those that are either ignorant to the fact or those who have been programmed to the fact. Not the people who are, now there are those who are versatile like myself and you and so forth, RE, that are able to maintain yourself and be versatile and so forth and still keep your own standard and value system. But most of our people, in order to be promoted up and to get certain levels of success, they're willing to abandon that in order to get to that level. Most are.
Got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and that's the thing also. What you need to understand about in sociology, there's a thing called you have a function and a dysfunction. And you have a manifest function and you have a function that is kind of came by an accident. In society, this is sociology, it doesn't teach us society's functions, things they expect from people. Now, those expectations often can lead to dysfunction because people get stressed out wanting to meet certain expectations. Okay? Especially when those expectations are quite oppressive. And the manifest function is what people actually want. Why do you go to school? Not only to learn to read and write and all of that. You go to school so you're shaped to accept your current government and not to challenge it. That's why.
Right.
Just keep it 100. So that's the manifest function.
Yes.
And then you have the indirect function, and that's the function that comes as a side effect. People feel bonded to one another and all of that. So we tend to think that it's called a latent function. I'm sorry. Latent functions is what we often are looking for. Namely, we want our children to grow up, be part of society, and to get along and all that. Those are latent functions that come as a result of them being shaped the same way by the school system. But the manifest function, original intent of the school system is to cause you to shut up and not to challenge the status quo. That's it. And when you are a grown adult and you went through all those years since a child being shaped how to look at the world, because they teach you how to look at the world, you realize very quickly there's no place for you. Okay, and this is not only as a cult individual. Society, because there's a difference between community and society. Community are just the people living somewhere. That's a community. Society is a construct that adults enact. You get me? So that's a big difference. A lot of people know the difference between society and community. Well, I'll just explain to you. In society, you are expected to get along to make everyone else at peace. So there is no room for you as an individual. And this is the part of society that a lot of people don't want to fix. So they focus so much on the latent functions that they forget, they don't see the elephant in the room. Now, what you just said, that a lot of our children, because there's a black panel over here, are socialized into accepting European view of themselves. And here's the thing, no community allows their children to be lectured by someone from another community. You get me?
Right.
No community. Listen, man, you go to Japan, you can go to Korea. By the way, I lived in Korea for 9 months. Okay? The last year till this year. You will never have a mass influx of Americans teaching Koreans. Koreans will want their own to teach their own people. Japanese the same way. Every community wants their own to teach their own. Black Americans, I'm sorry to say this, they have this tendency to let, how do I say, to let other ethnic groups teach them.
Right.
And that is something that Black Americans should unlearn. It's something that Black Americans got used to. Yes.
You're right.
But just because we got used to it doesn't mean it's functional.
Right. And that's the thing. We have to understand that you cannot have other people that look at you in a lens outside of yourself educate you and teach you or teach you properly. They're not going to do it. Even if they wanted to, there would be limitations because they're looking at you from the lens of their own culture as opposed to looking at being part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna yield negative. Well, we already see it's not yielding a positive outcome. But see, as Black people, we have to understand we have to get. We've been conditioned because of integration to think that other people have our best interests of just because we have the ability to integrate. That means that you're automatically going to have other people going to give you their best interests, and they're not. It just doesn't work that way. It just has shown not to be the case. And we have to accept that and move forward.
I agree with you, Diderot. And just think about it for a moment. If someone or a group of people have exploited you for centuries, done the worst things to you, and even were in denial of it, why would the same group who has gained a leverage at your expense suddenly want to have your best interest at heart? That's quite suspicious.
Yes, very.
Yes. So what I can see now saying what went wrong with Black Americans is that when this whole thing of integration came up, a lot of Black Americans thought, oh, finally, we don't have to struggle and fight anymore. We can just be at peace.
Right.
Things will get better. But here's the thing. Things did become better. It became better for the USA society, which is based on trample upon Black folks. That's what became better. It didn't get better for Blacks in general. And it's only later, like in the 1990s, that Blacks didn't realize, we've been conned. And yes, you have been conned. And so now it's a time for the Black community in the United States to face the fact that they've been conned and process this. And by the realize, you know what? We need to invest in our own, and we need to put ourselves out there also, instead of just getting along with what is expected of us.
Right. Exactly. Anything else you want to say, Pete?
Hey man, I'm just sitting. Hey, you know me, bro. You know what I mean? I'm sitting back listening to the professionals. I'm learning.
Okay. Yeah, and so we and to me, all of this for those who are watching, and some of you thinking that we're getting off topic. Everything that we talking about now encompasses in the parameters of what the FDMG Academy is supposed to be doing. Isn't that what the FD, what Umar is set to plan, is supposed to correct some of these problems. You know, so
hey, Diderot, let me ask you a question, man. Before you drop the link, I'm listening, and you dropped your credentials and your experience and your time in the field, right?
Right.
Like 20 years straight, like boots to the ground.
Right.
You think you might even be better qualified to speak on like this, the issues like in schools than Dr. Johnson?
No, not as far as the issues in school. Probably not, because the reason why I'm saying that is because Umar, I never worked directly in the school setting. I've worked in the school setting, but from an outside position.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Now, if you wanted to talk about it from a community standpoint, I may be. As far as how the kids function in the community, and as far as the mental health system, I probably would be more qualified to speak on it from that perspective. But as it relates to the kids, as far as their functioning in the school system, he's more qualified to talk about it from that perspective.
And you know what? I forgot you said earlier that generally you are the outside professional that they seek. So yeah, okay,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
my fault.
I'm usually the vendor or provider that they ask to come into the school. Like, say for instance, I've had contracts with various school districts where I was an outside provider that came in to provide services. I've had
Mhm,
right now I only have because I've kind of changed the scope of my business. Um,
mhm,
I'm only providing services to one school district at this moment in their alternative
mhm,
school. At one time, I
mhm,
was servicing at least three or more school districts. I had Northwest School District at one time, HISD. I had Spring School District, and I also had a school district in Galveston County. I had two school districts that I was providing. Now I didn't do them all at the same time, but I've usually had at least two or three. I'm only limited to the last 2 years. I've been reduced to one because one school district lost their funding for it or whatever. They went with another provider. So I was
mhm,
relegated to only servicing one, which is fine because I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy working in the school. Um, it's not easy working in school districts. There's a lot of things that the schools don't provide for you that can
mhm,
allow you to be a better instrument for the children to improve. When you
mhm,
get in there, you gotta sign this paperwork and stuff. Some of the schools don't allow you to see the kids. They don't have the you got to go through hoops to get to an office where you can counsel the kids, and it's all
mhm,
kind. Man, I can go. Man, it's been situations where I've went to schools to see children, and it took me damn near 20, 30 minutes before I saw the child.
mhm,
There's all kind of stuff like that that goes on that I don't talk about. I used to do content back in the day where I would go to a school and do content by the school, say the name of the school and different stuff. I actually stopped doing that because I'm only relegated to one school district right now that and I have a contract to work with their team, basically middle school students and high school students. So, but as far as the red tape, all of the paperwork and the processes that encompass getting those resources, as far as the 504 accommodations, and also getting the special education resources and so forth. Umar is more proficient in that because he actually as
and,
as
and
a as a school psychologist or a diagnostician, depending on what your credentials are, state to state, he's actually been in the forefront of doing those things. So he's coming from a perspective of being. I'm usually the person that's like the outside support that hey, they want a therapist to come in to help see the kids and help reduce the behavioral issues from the outside. I'm not an internal hire. Yeah.
you know, um, when we're talking about, and I'm glad that there's a, oh, he's not there, but when you're talking about like previous cultures, the rise and fall of cultures, generally the one constant is that, like civilizations rise and fall, but usually the one constant are those who are furthest removed from quote unquote civilization. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whose way of life doesn't really change, like quote unquote the hunter gatherers. But that type lifestyle or the small tribal community, nomadic, whatever you want to call it, like who isn't influenced by technology, by changes in politics, quote unquote off the grid. What we call off the grid now, we would call, in other cultures, quote unquote hunter gatherers. And when civilizations are up and running, we look at that as primitive, but not taking into consideration like whatever the culture is. This is how they've been living, and it's been working for them. For I mean, for no matter how long. So, and they're always there to bear witness. They're some of the best historians because they see things come and see things go. So referring back uh to this education, like the mass education, just the indoctrination of Western society in general, which goes against really the United States is unique in a way that it doesn't reflect any other culture's way of living. And
Right.
because it's a flawed concept to begin with. Like, the thought that you could bring people from all over the world to one central location and have a hive mentality, that's a flawed concept to begin with.
Right.
And the further we're getting along with this, like you say, we're starting to wake up and rebel to what's not even in our nature, what had to be beat into us to begin with.
Yeah. That's true. Definitely true. So I mean, we just have to make sense for us as a people, man. Like for us, we have to look at the fact that we have to do for self. We have to be, we have to be more ethnocentric, and we have to be, we have to be greedy. I'm not gonna say greedy is not the right term, but we have to be where we're looking out for self and those that represent the total self, meaning the group itself. We have to have groupthink in which we are specifically doing things that benefit us and nobody else.
Yeah.
Because that's what everybody. Because that's the only way you're going to function in this type of environment. Because that's what everybody else that's successful. That's what they're doing. We think that we can do something different, and that other people are just going to be humane in the process, and they're not.
It doesn't work like
we've been very naive to think other people are supposed to follow the rules. They're going to be humane. They're going to treat us just as equal as they would treat their own people. That's asinine to think that any group of people will treat you better than their own people. We're the only people that think other people are supposed to do that. And I don't care what the law tells them they should do. Yeah. Psychologically, that's impossible.
Exactly. And I've said it before, and take it one step further, and are shocked and flabbergasted when others don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're never going to get a group of people to care more about you, your group, than you. Period.
Yeah.
Period. So you don't, I mean, I'm sorry, like, in terms of like police brutality and all that type of shit, like, people are beating a dead horse. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they don't know. No attention needs to be brought to something that's always been common knowledge.
Yes.
And we got to stop waiting for apologies that ain't gonna never come.
The best way you can get those apologies is when you have leverage that if they don't do it, you can hurt them. You cannot expect apologies from a position of weakness. You can, like, say, reparations. If we wanted reparations, we have to be in a position of power to demand it. Where if we don't give it as a way I can hurt you, that's the only way that's the only way America's going to ever give us reparations. If we, from an economic standpoint, if you don't give it to us, we're going to do this to hurt you.
Exactly.
That's how white supremacy works. They're not giving up nothing for just out of the kindness of their heart. That's not going to happen. You have to force people to do things. When they sign that contract, they should be mad. Their face should look like it's distressed. That's how it should be. and I wouldn't care less.
And like you say, it starts with we need collectively we need to have a slice of the pie. Yeah, I mean
Big
we
slice.
will collectively we will know economic power. We do individually, but not collectively, and
Not
that's the
collective.
problem.
That's the problem. And see, my thing is this: as black people, we should not be selling any companies. If you're selling them, you're selling them to yourself, to people that look like you.
Yeah,
We should not be selling like BET should have never been sold to Viacom. BET should have been sold to another black. Matter of fact, I don't understand why Bill Cosby didn't want BET. He should have bought instead of trying to get. I know he wanted a national network, but he could have got BET.
I mean for
Because
real,
NBC is worth way more than BET. They ain't even the same. You know what I'm saying?
Be honest with you, he could have started his own network.
Yeah, he could have started his own network.
You know,
but he didn't.
Yeah,
I understand why he wanted NBC. It would have been wonderful for him to have it, but you know.
Well, and see the thing with BET is kind of almost like it was going to happen. Like when you consider that, hell, there's less than I forgot there's like maybe 3 or 4 media companies that damn near control not damn near, they control every major media outlet, whether it be TV or radio in damn near in the world, if not the United States. So for BET to fall under that umbrella, basically, if it was just a matter of time. Yeah, I mean, once they got big enough, they were gonna get swallowed up in a monopoly.
Right.
You know, because it goes back to what that gentleman was saying about control of information. You know, so it's like whether you listen to CNN or Fox, they're owned by the same company. When you work up the chain, hell, they're owned by the same entity.
Right? Exactly. So that's what it is, man. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out, man. I closed the panel.
Okay,
yeah, there were people that wanted to speak, but I'm at a point I can't be on for 3, 4, 5 hours. So,
hey,
any last words?
Nah, man. Last words, man. I'm gonna, like I've been doing, bro. I'm gonna keep on trying to plug your Life Solutions channel. You know, I mean, it's personal experience. Listen to one of your the video about do I have to like my family members or not liking my family members? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was very helpful for me to make it seem, to let me understand, like, hell, I shouldn't feel bad if I don't. They're family, but they're people. You understand?
Right.
Well, of course you understand because you said it. But as an example, just listen to that shit. You never know what you might learn. It may not apply to you, but you may be able to help somebody else with that information. You know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate that. I listen to them, and I urge everybody, if you ain't subscribed, to subscribe to that channel. You know what I mean? That's when you're gonna learn something.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. Yeah, exactly.
You know, they well, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's gonna happen slowly but surely.
Yeah, just keep
I'm
on
patient.
doing what you're doing, man. You know, I definitely appreciate you, bro. Hey, man, you have a good one. All right, D-Rail?
All right, man. You have a great day.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. I got to get out of here, guys. It's been fun. Again, guys, I hope you all learned some things today. I know I talked about some sector issues, and I also coupled it with the other issues we talked about as far as the educational system, as far as us as a people, and what we need to do to change and so on. Well, guys, I'm going to call it a day. We're at the 2 hour, 34-minute mark. You know, I'm trying to limit doing the 3 hour or more hours of content. Today's not the day for me to do that length of a live stream. You all have a great day. I'm going to be, guys, when I get off of here, I'm going to take a break. and I'm going to be creating D-Darrell Life Solutions content for the rest of the week. That's what the rest of my night is going to be for the next hour and a half, and I'll probably be going to bed around 12. Y'all have a good night. Peace.